Denis of Aggression, welcome once again to 69 Faces of Rock. How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing, my friend. I'm super excited to get a chance to talk to you again, see you, and always nice talking like metal with my friend Mark. So I'm really happy.
Some great times 2 years ago in New York, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
um, it seems like you got a new creative wind under your sails. Two albums in 2 years. Tell me about this outburst of creativity.
I think like aggression was been on pause for like many years. Even though I did other project like Cradle to Grave, Magician's Morning, and other bands, like I it's it's writing music is my passion. It's my favorite thing about music. It's not like being a live concert. It's not the girls backstage. It's not touring. Nothing like that. My favorite thing is to create music. So I'm lucky enough to have the ability to write music at a quick speed, quick, very fast pace. And I do have a bank of riff. And songs that I kept over the years. I must have like way over 80, 100 songs in a vault bank. That sometimes I will write completely new material. Sometimes I'll go back in the vault and find some old jam that I then work on with Ryan, Kyle, and Dave, and then we record them. So if people likes aggression material, we have like material for years to come.
Never ending. Um, Prior to my first interview with you 2 years ago in New York, I didn't see the band live, but since then I did. And what a lineup do you have? Wow, amazing players. Tell me about the members of current version of Aggression.
Yes, well, the superstar, the prodigy child is Ryan Idris on drums. Ryan's an amazing drummer. He's key to the return of aggression, similar to what Gate did in the past, when in the '80s when like Gene Oglin and Lars Ulrich and all these guys used to come see aggression just to see Gate drums. Ryan does the same impact, and now he's with like Heaton, and I'm sure there's gonna be other knocking at his door for him to go play with. But yeah, so Ryan on drums is definitely like I would say like a key member of this return of aggression. We have Dave Watson. He's been in the band now for 10 years on guitar, lead guitar. Dave is steady Eddie, always there, pleasant, nice to work with. As long as you feed him Subway, he'll be there. And then we have a newer, completely like the guy's like a crazy witch doctor. I don't know how to call him, but Kyle, who plays bass and sing as well. Kyle comes from the Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada metal music scene. I've been having played with Sin and Assimilation and other great band. So that he brings another dimension to the band with his like completely like out of context thrash metal bass, which is more resemble more what the say people like Cliff Burton used to do. And that's so that's the four of us, and we're having a great time. We're having fun, and we keep producing music, and we really like this edition of Aggression.
How do you feel these guys alter the dynamic of the original Aggression sound?
Well, that's a great question. Like well, the original Aggression, we were just like five bums, five like skids from like the wrong side of the tracks that I guess gathered enough money to buy instruments. We were not trained musician. We were not trained on anything. We just wanted to play like loud, fast, and like it was straight from the heart, straight from our black souls. Um, but now the new aggression is like, aside me, who still needs some definite education on all that. But these three musicians are trained musicians who went to school for their instruments and music, and they're able to bring, like, they call my writing style like French timing, because it's always in a weird time signature that doesn't make sense. And then sometimes, like, depending on what I bring them, they either try to like make it fit, or they will like modify the riff a bit to try to make it playable. But yeah, they and they're way more serious than the original aggression guy. There's no like police incidents. There's no arrest. There's no 22 girls in the jam space. It's a lot more cohesive as a team, for sure.
Yeah. All right. So tell me about Frozen Aggressors. How did this album come about? How much of it is new? How much are there old riffs?
Yeah, like I think I wanted to recapture the spirit of our first record, like Forgotten Skeleton. Um, I wanted, like, Forgotten Skeleton start the album started with instrumental called Forgotten Skeleton. So we wanted to do something similar for Frozen Aggressors. So I really wanted to capture the real early essence of aggression, which was a clear mix of like creator destruction, uh, Bathory, Celtic Frost, and then like a little bit of our like side of things that we used to listen to, like Agnostic Front, GBH, a little bit of that punk side. Um, so it does capture a really like kind of driven record, but still clear, precise. Uh, so it's a cool vibe, because you still get the precision and the mastery of instrument, but also the rebel
Mhm.
and the like, hey, we'll do whatever we want, and if people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. But that's how. And like a lot of like, so some riffs are brand new. Some riffs, like the song, like the instrumental Chud Invasion. Chud was an amazing movie. It's
Right.
so yeah. So all the riffs are new, but the last song on the album, Hyperspectral Winter Incursion, I wrote that song with Gate, our drummer at the time, above above the Benzai Records offices in Montreal. We used to live upstairs. So me and him wrote the entire song, just partying through the night. We used to start at like 10, 11 at night and play till like 6, 7 in the morning. That song was entirely like, all the riffs, all the arrangements are from way back. But most of the stuff I would say on the record is definitely, I would say, newer riffs, things that are more recent.
It's odd you mentioned hyperspectral winter incursions because I felt that's kind of like the epic song of the album.
Yeah, like I'm a prog guy. Like, I love like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and Yes, and Genesis, and Jethro Tull, and like, and I used to love listening to Tarkus, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Tarkus, or Jethro Tull, Thick as a Brick. Even like Uriah Heep, Salisbury, and um, I don't write songs for the purpose of them to be long, but I don't short them up just for them to fit in a 4 or 5 minute format either. So I just go with the flow. And this, like on the original record, Full Treatment, the last song was kind of like 8 minute epic called Final Massacre. So I wanted to use like to try to do like some of the formats we used to have on our first two records, and finish with a long song. And I've been working with that song, like try to redo it with Ryan for quite a few years now. since he joined us in 2014. And we felt the time was right with this new lineup. They can play whatever you throw at them. It's like no issue. So we thought it was the right time to do it, and it came out great.
What other tracks do you feel strongly about from the new album?
I think it changed. I really like Crib of Thorns. It's got that like old Venom, early Metallica kind of vibe and vocal delivery, and also the riffing. As we talk, when we met in New York a couple of years ago, like, okay, yes, I do listen to Dying Fetus and Cattle Decapitation, but I'm a big fan of like John Sykes and Michael Schenker and Adrian Vandenberg and Akira Takasaki from Loudness. And so like I wanted I always want to put some of that rock riffs into our song, and then the kids in the band are like, "No, they need like keep that shit out." And I'm like, screw you, I'm gonna do it anyway. So there is parts of like Crib of Thorn that do have that type of like White Snake uh riff that I love. So Crib of Thorns, really, I really like Queen of the Dam as well. It's one of the Aggression fastest song. Like it's got that Merciful Fate Slayer era kind of vibe when it comes to riffs. And I think that one came really good as well. But it changes all the time. I like Satanic Call Gangbang as well, just because the lyrics are like so they're so kind of like comical. Every time like people want to talk about that song, they get really uncomfortable. But but it's got a cool it's got a really cool like death metal signature sound mixed with like a little bit of like extreme hardcore. So I really like this song as well. I kind of like them all. It's a really rare album. Usually I'm always at 2, 3 songs on an Aggression record. I'm like, it didn't come out the way that I envisioned them. But this one I really like most of the song on the record, if not all of them.
Um, will there be a tour in support of this album?
So our manager, Robin, the amazing Robin Mason, who plays bass in Gruesome and is worked with many bands and does merch and all that. She does everything. She's working on tours for us. It's kind of like a big like people are not aware of this, but a lot of acts are trying to tour, and there's a big fight for touring space. Like, and you cannot have like. I remember one night, in 2019, we played in Amsterdam, and the same night, Voivod was playing in another venue, Annihilator was playing in another venue, and Anvil. So you had 4 Canadian band playing 4 different venues on the same night. Like so you don't want to spread the product too much. Plus like you can't. I would not like to have like one like one the same night you would have Entube in one spot, and then you would have like I don't know, like Lucifer or another great band like in another spot. And where do you go? You have to pick and choose, and then it just like dilute the crowd. So as of right now, aside like in we do have a show planned in Vancouver for the 40th anniversary of Aggression on Halloween night 2024. Will be 40th. That's myself and Byrne. We
Um,
met.
too much. That's
Yeah,
another
yeah,
coming up.
yeah. So we met to create Aggression. So we want to do something special that night. But aside that, we still like our booking agency Continental is looking at shows for us for the United States. We never played Chicago yet. Would love to play Chicago. We played Milwaukee. We played like all kind of different places, like Kentucky, Indiana, but never in Chicago. So we're looking for that. But yeah, we want to tour the US, and of course like Europe, South America are also like banging at our door. So we're ready to go. We just need to find the right timing.
Got it. Going back to From Hell with Hate, how did that album do for you?
It did really good. It's the first record, like a full length record that I was singing on it. So it's kind of like a progression of my new, I guess, vocal journey. They're some of the darkest, heaviest aggression songs ever recorded on that record. It's a very angry record, and I every time I go and I listen back to it, I do enjoy what we were able to accomplish. There's a lot of music, a lot of riffs, a lot of solos, a lot of ideas on that record, and I'm really proud of it. Like all my kids sing on the record, either back vocals or some main vocals in part. And my daughter also contributed to like some of the artwork and things like that. So it's a very special record. It's kind of like I guess like wave three now of regression. You have the wave one in the back in the early days, wave two with Brian Langley from like Tyrant's Blood, Infernal Majesty, and now League of Corruption, and now wave two, and then now wave three with the quattro attack of like the four band members. So yeah, really happy with From Hell with Hate. It got a lot of great reviews as well. A lot of people favorite songs Aggression ever recorded on that record.
Oh, it's a great album. How would you compare the two?
I think like Frozen Aggressors a little bit better executed. Like I think we were getting better at working the four of us, and I think the vocals are better. I think the solos, guitar sound, everything is a bit better. And I think like From Hell with Hate is a little bit darker, maybe a little bit heavier, but a little bit more loosey. So it's a little bit like it's almost like From Hell with Hate is more like Kill 'Em All, and Frozen Aggressor is more like Ride the Lightning, which they're starting to be a little bit more precise
Mhm.
in their execution. I think From Hell with Hate is a little bit heavier, but I think Frozen Aggressors is slightly faster, and maybe the production is better. You can hear like everything really well, and it's just a continuous progression of the band.
Mhm. No, there's a lot more musicality, in my opinion. Um, Also, you switch record labels in between. How come?
Well, we when we did From Hell with Hate, we already signed with Massacre Records.
Mm.
Mark from Misery Index, who were our manager at the time, got us the record deal with Massacre, but we still owe one album to Dave Rotten at Extreme Music, and Dave, amazing guy, solid dude. So we wanted to finish our contractual obligation with him before moving to Massacre. And you know what? Like we might do more work with Dave in the future. We're discussing a lot of re-release. We're discussing a lot of unreleased material stuff. So we're not closing the door on Extreme. We love Dave very much. And Massacre, it's our new home. So we like it's funny like you working with people from Spain and we be working from people from Germany is kind of like there's a bit of difference
I know.
in approach and how they do things. But we're pretty sure our next album would also going to be released on Massacre Record. Would like to stay with them, and I think they want us to stay with them. So we still want to continue the relationship, and we're the new album is completely written. We're entering pre-production already, and we're gonna hit the studio later this year. But looking at the 2025 spring releases, so we're working hard, my friend. We're working hard.
I could totally see that. Um, you already mentioned a little bit of it. Well, this year will mark 40 years of aggression, right? And you mentioned about preparing something special. So tell me what that is.
Well, we're gonna do a concert here in Vancouver on Halloween night. It's a Thursday night, October 31st. Halloween always been a special holiday for me anyway. I love anything like scary, spooky. I love that stuff, horror movies, all that. So we're gonna do a mini tour across like here, British Columbia, Western Canada, and then we would like to take that 40th anniversary festivities across the globe. We have a lot of surprises for that night. There might be some like original band members that will be joining us. Might be like other musical act, known band that will be playing the concert with us. So uh, we will keep a few surprises for that night.
So it's a lot to look forward to. Um, Going back to those early days 40 years ago, what was it like back in 1984, 85?
For what I remember, like like living it, we didn't realize what we were living through. Like we were not like thinking like, hey, in 40 years people are going to talk about this era of 80, from 80 to 85, 86 as the golden era of metal and thrash and all that. Like we had no idea. I think it's what makes it even more magical is like, like we were completely immersed into like the new wave of British heavy metal, and then the early days of thrash, and it meant everything to us. Like, like if you were not into that movement, you were a freaking poser, and if you listen to anything else, you're not allowed to talk to us. And like we were scary kids. Like when you think about it, we were dangerous, and the fact that a lot of us are still alive is a miracle because we used to live dangerously, to say the least, and we like we were enjoying every moment. I had fun for 20 people in those like 4 or 5 years. Thinking about every day was a party. Every day was like 30, 40, 50, 60 people at our jam space, and our jam space, like across the hall was Voivod. So we just hang out with them all the time. Then you had Sword, not too far as well, like a more like metal band. You had like kids, like guys who started Oblivion down
Mhm.
the hall, and then all the punk bands from Montreal, like Countdown Zero and Unruled, and so like it was like our jam space was always packed. So every time we jam was it was a concert kind of like, because it was like you could barely made it to your amplifier to start your guitar and start playing. And then like the alcohol and all that stuff, like I mean, it was not uncommon back in those days to wake up in the morning and have no idea where you were. It actually happened like many, 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 many times. Like, where am I? What is this place? Right? And could be outside, could be inside. Like, yeah, completely careless type lifestyle. And we love everything. And the record and the music, right? You go to the record store. One day you can buy like Evan and Al, our first Iron Maiden, and that's and that's your purchase for that day. You just bought three legendary, like I think the same day I bought like Ace of Spade, the first Iron Maiden, and Black Sabbath, Evan and Al. Like you,
And
this
class.
is what I this is what you bought that day. I mean, it's a good all for like a purchase, right? And it was always like that. Like you go to the record store, you see the first Venom, Welcome to Hell, like, oh, I gotta get that.
Mhm.
Buy that, and every day, every time, every trip to the record store was like a classic metal album you were buying. Like so like, and but you didn't it's not like you didn't even think about that. It just happened. You just lived it and you enjoy all of it.
I remember.
And the concert, everything, the scene, the metal scene in Montreal, like we're already kind of like the a bit alienated from the rest of North America because we speak French, right?
Mhm.
So we kind of make our own rules on what we listen to, and that's why like a lot of the band like Styx got big in Montreal before anywhere else. Supertramp got big in Montreal before anywhere else. And it's the same for like Celtic Frost, Destruction, Possess, and all those bands. When we did the World War III festival in Montreal, there was 5,000 to 6,000 people
Mhm.
already listening to that music. So you know, yeah, I can tell you like a million story about like how magical it was living in those like early '80s back in Montreal.
Now, speaking of the World War III festival, which now is legendary, um, how were you involved in it in any way?
Uh, Maybe too much. Yeah, like yeah, I was definitely involved. Like so, Voivod's manager Maurice Richard did was in charge of the festival, and our manager at the time, Johnny Hart, was kind of like his right hand man helping through it. So, we had tasks like I think my job was to go pick up Celtic Frost at the airport with my car. So I had like Tom Warrior, Martinane, and Reed St. Mark with me. The first Canadian they ever seen was my face.
Hmm.
uh, and it went downhill from there. Like I just led them straight to like debauchery and bad things. Same with the guy from Destruction, who probably the only band that could out party us at the time. These guys can drink like masters. I think there was so many cans in our rehearsal room. Like, we had to like get like, I think something like 10, 15, 20 garbage bag full of like cans for one night with those guys. It was quite amazing. So yeah, like we, of course, we also like, the bands were playing other shows aside the festival. They were doing smaller bars and things like that. So we would help them with our equipment,
Mhm.
lend them our amps, and things like that. And of course, like some of them were staying at my place. I even had like Monty Connor and Borovoy Krigan like in my living room sleeping on a mattress. And then I had like Schmear, in my bedroom, and like it was just like we were totally involved with it. The guys in Nasty Savage, super cool guys.
Oh yeah.
And then of course Debbie Abono, and the gang from Possess. So like we were part of every minute of it. Helping, being part of it, and we even had a jam at our jam space with like all the bands, all the European band. I think Possess and Nasty Savage were not in Montreal yet, if I remember correctly. So we started to do jams like playing like Celtic Frost covers with Tom Warrior on vocals, and then playing Total Disaster Destruction with with uh
Smear.
with like a different drummer, and then Away would play drums, I will play guitar, Schmear on bass, and then we started playing Motorhead, and then after that we went crazy playing like Frank Zappa and like some crazy like obscure like so yeah, we were very much involved. We didn't play Aggression, didn't play at World War III, but I think it would have been very difficult for us to play,
Mhm.
and be like or have our head in the right space to be able to play that festival.
Speaking of staying on that topic of that festival, I think I ever heard you once that you almost ended up being in Celtic Frost. Care to tell that story?
Yeah, like I drove like Tom Warrior to the airport after the festival. He asked specifically for me to drive him, which probably not a good idea, but whatever. He wanted to be by myself with me, and um, so on the way to the airport, he did ask me like, "Hey, would you like to be in Celtic Frost, and like you could come to Switzerland, and and I was like, whoa, man, like because like um, like Aggression was kind of like all like a brotherhood, like we're all like good friends and things like that. But the offer was definitely interesting to me. I really like at the time, like they just released what's the name of the into no not into the pandemonium
Vegetarian.
yeah to Megatherian and I really like Necromantical Screen and I like that like kind of like scary slower vibe that we're going into and when we jammed the Celtic Frost with them in our jam space I reproduced like Tom Warner's solos
Hmm.
and he was amazed and he's like how did you figure out my solo? I said, just like with, a vinyl, needle, back, play, listen, see what he does, right? Um, so he wanted me to be lead guitar, and but it didn't pan out. I did go to Switzerland, spent some time with Martin, but at the time, like they were also starting to think about switching musical style. And I would not have been like kind of like interested in playing like Mexican radio or like it's just not my like I'm a Venom guy like battery guy. It's gotta be dangerous and heavy. If not, like I don't get as interested. So it never panned out in the end. Never happened. And I just learned recently that Destruction also asked Gate to join them as their drummer, and Schmear never told me, and I spent a lot of time with him after the fact, but I never knew if it was true or not.
Well, next time I see Smear, I'm gonna definitely ask him that question.
Yeah, yeah, because I somebody told me that recently in an interview, and I was like, it makes sense. Gate was like by far the best musician in Aggression.
Hmm.
So like it totally makes sense that it would have happened. And imagine like Gate playing with Destruction, that would be crazy.
That would be crazy. Now, let's say, had you joined Celtic Frost, do you think it would have worked out musically?
I have no idea. I thought about that sometimes, like, hey, what would have happened if I did this, if I did that? I think, like, personally, at the time, I didn't have the maturity or the control of my bad habits, I guess, enough to be functional enough in society to, like, relocate to Europe. But I did enjoy Tom a lot and Martin and Reed. We kind of clicked right away, like like they Reed was from the U.S., so he was a little bit more outgoing, but Tom and Martin were more reserved and more shy
Mhm.
in their like impartial, like Switzerland kind of way, and I'm like French were more like in people's faces. So I was um, getting their shyness away so that they could like just be themselves around us and things like that. So I think it would have been great, but we will never know.
Finally, giving 40 years of your life to music is very impressive. What drives you?
I you know what I was adopted as a kid. I was adopted, and I was not adopted into a musical family. But to me, it was natural, like to seek new music, search new music, go to the record store. Like I've been doing this since I'm a little kid. I was like 8, 9, 10 years old. I did have like a couple of older cousins that did introduce me to like Mahogany Rush and uh, Triumph and Foghat and these guys used to like be in the basement of my uncle's house with good-looking women and like smoking weed and things like that. And like I always wanted to go and hang out with them, but they did introduce me to like like Deep Purple and rock and some amazing record. But that was my drive. And then after that, when I started playing drums, bass, guitars, I always wanted to create music. The funny thing is when I met my real family, my biological family, when I was much older, they were all musicians. So it's almost it was in me that I wanted it or not. And I tell the guys in Aggression, like, I'll be 58 years old this year. These guys are like, 35, 30. Um, and I'll when we used to say like thrash till death, like I really meant it. Like I'm gonna do that till I die. Like I don't know. There's nothing else aside hockey. There's nothing else that really like stimulate me as much as metal. And just before talking to you, I was listening to the new Saxon and like, wow, so good. And like the riffs and like it just like it's in my heart. I can't fake it. I'm not doing it for people to look at me or want to talk to me. I'll do it even if I'm alone on a deserted island. I'll still listening to metal. So yeah, like I know I'll never stop. So I just keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm very content, very happy, very satisfied with like in my existence in music.
Mhm.
Um, and discovering new music is amazing to me. I love new records. I listen to the old stuff, of course, but I always try to search for new music.
Finally, when did you become Sasquatch?
Uh, so as I told you, like I was adopted,
Mhm.
uh, and my adoptive family were all like short people. Uh, and I'm a taller, bigger guy, like I don't know, like 6'2", 275 pounds. So like my cousin, when I started to be taller than everybody, they's like, "Oh my god, this guy's a freaking Sasquatch!" Like because I just stood out, and then I had lots of hair always, and like so my cousin did baptize me as Sasquatch since I was like 12, 13, 14 years old.
Outstanding. Thank you for talking to me.
Hey man, always a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to see you in person. The sooner the better for me.
Absolutely.